The weather forecast for tonight is clear, so the plan is to image the Elephant's Trunk Nebula. Very well placed near the zenith, around about 8-9 o'clock over there. I'm Dr. Ray, and welcome to Astrogage. For this imaging session, I've got the Esprit 120 ED triplet. It's first light of the new season, so a good chance to check everything out, the configuration out. Actually, I really need to do a sort of kind of review on this telescope because I've had it about a year now, and I really like it. It's mounted on Skywatcher EQ8R Pro, which is controlled by ASCOM. I've had the EQ8R for coming up for almost 2 years now, and again I really like it. And one of the things I really like about it is these locking bolts here and here. So once you've got everything polar aligned, it's just simply a question of tightening these up, and I can assure you the thing doesn't move. I've got the ASI 2600 MC Pro color camera with the ASI 120 mono camera attached to an off-axis guider. In the filter drawer here we have the Optolong L-Extreme dual band filter, which, if you've seen any of my other videos, you know I absolutely love this filter. It's absolutely fantastic. I also have the field flattener here, which is optimized for this particular telescope. And controlling the focusing, we again have the ASI electronic automatic focuser. The whole control of the imaging session is carried out using Sequence Generator Pro, which uses ASCOM to control everything. If you've seen any of my previous videos, then you'll know that I control the session remotely from the house via Wi-Fi. So let's hope that the weatherman's telling the truth this time and that we get some decent skies. Fingers crossed. See you later. The Elephant's Trunk Nebula is in the constellation of Cepheus the King. It's actually a concentration of gas and dust that sits within a much larger emission nebula, which is known as IC 1396. And it's thought to be an area of active star formation, a stellar nursery for want of a better word. It's about 2,000 to 3,000 light years away, and the Elephant's Trunk component of this nebula is around about 20 light years long. So that gives you some idea of the distances and the perspective of the image that hopefully we're going to end up with. Because it's an emission nebula, it makes it a particularly good candidate for using the one-shot color camera with the L-Extreme dual band filter. Inputting the Esprit 120 and the ASI 2600 MC Pro into the ocular tab in Stellarium gives us quite a nice composition, I think. This point here will be the coordinates that I'll use to acquire the target in order to get that composition that Stellarium predicts. Hello! Well, here we are. It's a really nice night. Unexpectedly, the sky's cleared this evening. There's a few clouds about, but it's really good seeing. It's very clear. Just as Stellarium predicted, we've got a really nice composition on the Elephant's Trunk Nebula, and we're running at the moment. Everything, dare I say, is going well.
Fingers crossed, guys, fingers crossed. You know, how many times have I said that in the past and it ends up a disaster? But this is the first time this season I've had the Esprit 120 out, so far so good. The guiding's good. I've got sub-arc minute guiding. It's pretty stable. Let's hope the clouds stay away, and I'll be back shortly.
So here's one of the first subframes that's come in. It's not looking too bad at the moment. You can make out the trunk part of the nebula here just about. It's a very faint object, but hopefully we'll get a good capture. And there's various dust lanes in the nebula, and I think you can just make out the edge of the nebula here. So not looking too bad at the moment. And also the stars don't look too bad at all either, so let's continue. Okay, so at the moment the clouds are coming and going, particularly high clouds, so it's playing a bit of havoc with the guidance. But at the moment I'm getting good guidance. I'm getting 0.42, 0.39, so you know, not to be sneezed at. So in between the clouds there seems to be some nice clear seeing. So it's really just a question of persevering with the conditions at the moment, and let's see how we get on. Might come a point where I just have to cut my losses, but for the time being we'll keep going and see what happens. Okay, so it's a bit later now. The guidance is kind of going up and down. It's purely and simply because of the high cloud that's coming and going. The thing also to note, of course, is that the moon is up now. It's a half moon, waning phase, and it's obviously a contributory factor to what's happening in this particular session. It's easy to get hung up on the numbers in these things, but ultimately what counts is what the stars look like, and that's exactly what Craig Stark, the guy that wrote this software, says. Is you know sometimes the graphs can look absolutely horrendous and the numbers can look really rubbish, but you know, if your stars are looking good, then that's the most important thing. So it's certainly something I've found as well, that you know, they're a good guide as to what's happening, these numbers, but ultimately it's what the stars look like that count. And sometimes you get really rubbish looking guidance like this, but the stars look great, and vice versa. So you know, you have to put these numbers and the whole analysis thing into context. At the end of the day, it's what things look like, not what the numbers say. Star shapes at this point in time don't look too bad at all. Let's keep running and see where this goes, and as I say, tomorrow we'll see what happens when we do some post-processing. Here we are in PixInsight. In the end, I managed to get just over 2 hours worth of data before the clouds really rolled in and spoilt the fun. And this is pretty much what came off the camera after the subs were stacked. In a previous video that I did regarding the L-Extreme filter, I found that the blue channel was pretty noisy, with a pretty bad signal to noise ratio, and so in that video I decided to sort of discard that and create a synthetic oxygen 3 channel, for want of a better word, by using pixel math to combine the green and the blue to give the best effect, and then recombining them to give a pseudo narrowband bicolor kind of image. So in this instance, this particular object was no different, and I found that the blue channel was particularly noisy, so that's what I did. This is our synthetic oxygen 3 channel, this is our hydrogen alpha channel, just straight from the original image. What I did next was I just performed the usual workflow. I did a nice soft stretch, denoise. Again, like in
in previous videos have shown, I used the StarNet script to remove the stars from the image so that I could process the nebula independently without affecting the stars once they're recombined. I did various curve transformations, color saturation and sharpening on the nebula component independently, and then I recombined the stars back into the image to create the complete image again using pixel math. And here's the final result. And I'm actually quite pleased with this, I have to say. Despite the conditions last night, I think it's come out not too badly. The stars, despite fears of the guiding being affected by the weather, the stars have come out actually okay. You know, I would have loved to have got more data from more subs, but unfortunately the weather in the UK just doesn't want to play ball at the moment. So I think with just over 2 hours worth of data, this is quite good. I'm quite happy with it. So you know, despite the conditions, we've ended up with, well, I think at least, a fairly pleasing image, and it's pretty much as Stellarium predicted in terms of the composition. So the coordinates I used based on the Stellarium analysis actually turned out to be, you know, spot on really. So all in all, quite happy with this.
Well, that's about it for this session, folks. It's good to be out again imaging, being out in the dome. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, feel free to press the subscribe button. I think it's down there somewhere. It doesn't cost anything, it just means you get the heads up in any future content that I may produce. I should also point out as well that I have no financial affiliation to the companies that manufacture the products I refer to in these videos. So, see you next time. Thanks for watching, and meantime, keep watching the skies.
Watch the skies everywhere. Keep looking. Keep watching the skies.